everyone, it's Kellen Brower from RacerX, back again with another race examination video, this time taking a look at Hangtown, and off the start in the second 450 moto, specifically talking about Antonio Cairoli getting the whole shot. Really cool to see the Italian on his little American tour here towards the end of his career, ripping a whole shot and getting a bit of a taste out front in pro motocross, but Ken Roczen quickly snuck the lead away from him. But interestingly enough about this, Cairoli actually said the reason why he ripped off such a gnarly big scrub off of this first table going into the back is because he knew that Ken Roczen was right behind him and figured it'd be a cool opportunity for someone to get a nice shot of Cairoli whipping there in front of Roczen on the first lap of the race. And kudos to Verb Moto. Jessica Reed got this great shot of Cairoli doing it. So just kind of a fun little story there. Cairoli knowing who was behind him and electing to scrub in front of the whole field to get a cool photo in his little pro motocross tour here. So Jason Anderson, late in that first 450 moto, was catching Chase Sexton. I was trying to pick apart some of the places he was doing it, and specifically this part. He was the first person in this 450 moto that I saw consistently doing this double to the inside, and notably he was actually clipping it like you see right there on the landing, and he's doing that because the rut to the outside kind of blows out a little bit right there. It wasn't big enough yet. In the 250 motos later on, those guys started doing it, but at that time, it wasn't big enough yet, so he was clipping it to slow down a little bit. And, I mean, man, he caught Sexton in a hurry, putting the pressure on Sexton. Sexton's going to get into Grant Harlan and put Harlan on the ground right there, but Anderson was just, man, he was using so many different lines in this first moto to take advantage of it, and eventually gets that pass done to the inside of Sexton to go on and take not only the moto win, but eventually the overall win on the day, so kudos to him. Wanted to briefly talk about this Sexton and Harlan contact, because Sexton did get into two lapped riders that we saw on the day while he was trying to work his way forward. And this is, he kind of misses the inside rut, but he's not trying to hit Harlan. He's actually trying to go to this little middle rut between the big inside and big outside rut. Harlan is obviously in that outside rut. It just was a little bit of contact right there. I mean, it's kind of interesting that it doesn't happen more often because these guys are coming through the field so fast, and sometimes these lapped riders don't exactly know where to go. But like, again, here with Devin Harriman, which Sexton also put on the ground in the second moto. This is, Harriman's looking back. He's trying to be courteous of the riders coming through. Sexton's already committed to this outside line, I should say. But Harriman just kind of drops into the rut that Sexton's already going into. It's just kind of weird incidental contact. And, for Sexton's case here, he's in a hurry. In the first moto, he's got Anderson breathing down his neck. Anderson would eventually pass him basically in the next straightaway after he put Grant Harlan on the ground. And in this situation, he's got Eli Tomac catching him from a pretty far ways back as well and putting the pressure on him late. So Sexton's just trying to hurry, trying to go. Incidental contact in both of those situations. But lap traffic was kind of the story really in the 450 class of the day. I mean, Ken Roczen, he also ran into Matthew Curler here, and this was Curler kind of doing a very similar thing to what we saw Harriman do, where coming down this hill, he decides to look back and see, where is Roczen? Got to make sure I don't get in his way. But then he doesn't, pay attention to the rut in front of him. His front end goes over the rut, then he lays it over and, kind of gets more in Roczen's way. He wasn't trying to do it, obviously. It just happens. Lap traffic is always something that these guys have to deal with. But like I said, it was a bit of a storyline. And even when Jason Anderson's trying to hold off Chase Sexton at the end of this first moto, they're catching Brandon Hartraft, who's 15th place. Like, he's trying to battle for some good points, and Anderson has to redirect his line. He's going to go to the inside to cover off there on Sexton, has to jump to the outside to block Sexton off. But this is more, like, look at this. There's a little panic rev right here behind Hartraft to say, like, hey, I'm here, please move to the side, and Hartraft eventually does oblige here. But again, with these passes, this is more reacting to lap traffic than anything. Anderson, I think, wanted to hook this inside rut because it was the line he had been taking, but he last minute has to jump to the outside just to make sure Sexton doesn't get a drive out of the corner, so he covers it off well. It's the thing that's always in play with lapped riders, right? You have to react to what they're doing, and even though, you should be focusing on the race you're in, lap traffic is always going to be a part of the sport. And, a good job there by Anderson, and a good job by a lot of these guys to just, react to lap traffic, use it to their advantage or disadvantage, and go on their way. Now, I did want to highlight a couple more things that I thought were pretty cool here. First off, look at how close Chase Sexton gets to Ken Roczen's rear tire in this rut at the beginning of the second 450 moto. I mean, like, talk about trusting, the riding partner that you have there at Factory Honda. Just gets in right behind him. I mean, almost rubbing knobbies. Probably couldn't even see the rut at that point. Just trust that he knows what direction the rut is going, and trust that Roczen goes fast enough. So that was pretty cool. And then late in this 450 moto as well, with Tomac on his way to the moto win after he beast moded through the field a little bit, he has this moment right here where his foot kicks off the side of the bike, and this is just awesome core strength to be able to hold it on with one foot as he's going through the braking bumps and just kind of let his foot dangle there for a second to try to get it planted back. Eventually goes on to win the moto. Hey, Tomac's looking pretty good. Anderson with the overall, though.
I want to remind everybody that this video is presented by OnX Off-Road. Know where to go with the #1 off-road GPS app. Access 500,000 plus miles of trails and roads, open dates, and public lands. Download the onX Off-Road app today.
So moving on to the 250 class, a couple things I wanted to talk about. First off, this contact between Seth Hammaker and Jalek Swoll in the first moto. And the reason I just wanted to break it down is because I slowed it down myself after I watched it just to see kind of what happened. And this more or less seems like the kicker's coming into the face of this jump right here. Swoll just got a little bit sideways and started leaning towards Hammaker. And then once you're kind of connected with someone like he was there, there's really nothing else you can do. You're just kind of committed to almost being stuck with him. So in this situation, it was just like kind of a weird coming together. Good job by Hammaker to land it and not go down as well, but Swoll obviously lost some time. Would remount still inside the top 10 though, so that was good for him. And then here is my certified pass of the day. I'm going to give it to Joe Shimoda in this second 250 moto because man, oh man, was he on a tear, and he was moving forward trying to catch Jett Lawrence and maybe win this second moto. He eventually would go down. But the reason why I love this pass and why I'm going to consider it my pass of the day is because it has two very specific things. First off, the finesse in this corner to kind of break and let Cooper roll through that rut so he can square back off and pull up alongside of him. Great job to just line selection there. But then he kind of bulldogs it into this corner and jumps past him. So he's using like two almost very different techniques to make one pass, like finesse and then bulldogging, but like in two different sequences. So it's really cool to see that. But then, of course, as he's going after Jett Lawrence, trying to take the lead over, he falls down. Shimoda, though, has been hot to start the season, and boy, oh boy, it looks like he might be a guy that can definitely factor in for some moto wins, if not overall wins here before long, so cool to see. But, of course, Jett Lawrence did pick up the overall win at Hangtown, and did so while he was sick on the day, actually threw up right after the race. So, I mean, incredible stuff by Lawrence to go 3-1. And if that's what he's like when he's sick, I mean, man, we talked about it at the opener. These guys might be in for a bit of a long summer. But that's your lot from Hangtown as we get ready to come up this weekend at round 3 in Thunder Valley.